As the army pursue them, the film opens with two guys removing her body from her grave in the middle of the night. That guy turned up to be the call investigator for the song. The man who exhumed his remains from the cemetery was killed by the second man. The governor was also abducted by Detective Sung. To demonstrate to him that the victim of Tanglong's beatings did not pass away. He expired before falling. The wine at his bar is the source of that. And he did succeed in persuading the emperor that Tanglong was exonerated of murder. After 3 years. While everyone waits for Detective Sung to arrive, the governor appeared to be having his wedding. Everyone began to celebrate as soon as the Detective Song made the connection, and the bride proceeded to bow. However, at that point, the bride started acting oddly and refused to practice marriage. Everyone was scared when he started screaming after removing the scarf from the ruler. The Sung then went to investigate the order. And it seemed that the bride turned really frightful. He removed the magical habituation, which was made up of 4 dolls, from his clothing. I then took the first doll, and she started to charm her. A fool entered the scene at that time. And he makes an odd statement about a man named Ping Xian, claiming that he will pass away without producing children. The bride then said that everyone will be put to the test by a flood of blood in the middle of the night. She pulled out a knife and began stabbing the doll. From behind the fool, someone emerged, and the idiot killed him by unintentionally stabbing him with a knife. She also committed suicide after that. Detective Song was confused and shocked by what was taking place. But he recovered his strength once more. He then proceeded to the headquarters for questioning. There, he had a meeting with Lord, the district coroner. Moreover, they began the autopsy. They learned that the man's stabbing did not cause him to pass away. 3 days ago, he passed away. And he was subjected to magic. Must continue standing throughout this. The Song detective came to the conclusion that it was a bad omen. Then they proceeded to look at the bride's body as well, and 3 more individuals will pass away. Tell them that she is a refugee who escaped from another province when the governor was questioned about her identification. But Detective Song informed him that she is a member of the Boxun Sect. It is a practice of worshipping evil that had been abandoned for 20 years. They had 12 hours left, he informed the governor, to help the following victim. So Tabeb Lawyer was chosen by the Song detective. A place called Nin Xian Pub. To see an old acquaintance of his. It is known as Dongshin. This is done in an effort to learn more about the bride's identity. She even worked at that bar, proving that she was not a refugee as the governor claimed. Ask her to assist them when Detective Song first encountered Dongshin. I initially resisted doing it. But after learning that the Boxun sect was responsible for the death of her daughter years earlier, she volunteered to assist with the inquiry. However, when I arrived there, I found that everyone was terrified since the bride's grandma had vanished. As a result, she introduced herself as Shoto. And she only left a list of all the guests she had received when I departed in the past. The detective also discovered that the person who made us look foolish at the wedding was the 3rd sacrifice when he read the song. And as soon as they arrived at the prison to free him, Detective Song and Dongshin started to pursue him. So that the 2nd sacrifice can exit the cell, Lore remained with the guard. But the murderer was able to deceive them. They kept looking for him when he fled from the scene after killing Lore in front of Ian Detective Song and killing the prisoner as well. They were surprised by the situation when they learned that the killer was the bride's corpse since I caught him in the process of shrinking. However, Detective Song discovered everything the following morning, proving that the 2 victims perished from an unknown toxin. Make them believe they passed away days ago. And the bride is not the murderer. Since the prisoner who emerged in a mask. To prove to them that she was the one who committed the crime, he placed her body in the forest. They were suddenly attacked by a gang of warriors while they were still doing their research, but Dongshin was a great fighter. And I prevailed over them. Detective Song then informed her that she is the third victim. As quickly as they could, they left the area. They immediately proceeded to the governor's office. But when they arrived, they discovered that everyone had perished. The ruler is the lone survivor. Detective Song's suspicions were validated at that precise moment, because he had been thought about from the start. Therefore, the governor was aware that the bride was mad at one point in time. He seemed to have done so in this case to divert Detective Song, so he didn't understand why he wanted to marry her. He accepted a bribe from the neighboring empire in order to aid them in the invasion, which is what caused the rumor about the Boxun Sect's curse to spread throughout the nation. He sent a death team to attack them at that precise moment. However, the Danshin were quite powerful, so I was able to defeat them. However, one of the masked men killed the ruler during the conflict. He then left the area quickly. Detective Song made sure that there was a second party involved in the investigation. He then began to make connections between the personalities and the events, until he learned who was behind everything's planning. He is the diabetic Dr. Lore who has in the past pretended to pass away while imprisoned. He then went to his home and previously perfumed him. Detective Song explained to him how his cracked tooth allowed him to find the complete truth. So that when he last checked on the bride's grandma, he realized by pushing his composite teeth that he had one like him. He was able to connect the dots thanks to this odd coincidence. When he returned to check on my grandma, he saw that her head had a complete set of teeth. Remember that the second victim was suspected of raping his then-fiancée Xiaodong before she became pregnant. However, as everyone was aware of his sexual vulnerability, Lore informed him of everything, which is why he adored Xiaodong so much. However, the two victims unexpectedly appeared at the Moto A hotel, where they made plans to kidnap Xiaodong's child in order to conceal his sexual weakness and scandal in front of the populace. They then flung it in the street after doing so. Lore kept it hidden within my home. But ever since, Xiaodong has lost his mind and became wild. He could not stand to see her in such a state. In order to exact revenge on those who mistreated her, he devised a scheme with the governor who was close to him. Detective Sung was informed in detail of what had occurred. Choose to end the case. And he came back to finish living his regular life once more. But this time, Dangxing was present. So he left for a different city to address a different problem.